Hey there, algebra. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. Another great day for algebra, talking about two-step equations, okay? So two-step equations, we're going to learn some steps to take to solve these two-step equations. That's the goal for today. So whenever there's more than one operation in an equation, just make sure that you take both steps. So we've got an original equation. We're going to be adding and subtracting here. We combine our like terms. So anything that's not an x you can combine. So 4 minus 5 leaves you with negative 1, and 9 minus 3 leaves you with positive 6. So we combined. Then we add, and we keep it balanced. Remember, balance is good. All right. And we get our answer of x equals 7. So we add 1 to both sides. Those cancel out. We add 1 to 6, and that equals 7. Awesome. See, told you, I'm not going to keep you very long. It'll be okay. All right. Multiply and divide here. We've got 4x divided by 8 equals 10. All right. So first thing, since we have a fraction, we always want to get rid of our fraction first. The way we get rid of a fraction is to multiply by the denominator, the one on the bottom. Okay. Multiply by that denominator. So when we multiply both sides by 8, remember balance. Okay. Do on one side, you got to do to the other. These are going to cancel out, 8 and 8, and then 8 times 10 is going to be 80. So you got 4x equals 80, 4x equals 80. Then our second step would be to divide by 4. So we're left after this with 4x equals 80. Our next step to take is to divide by 4 to get x by itself. Remember, we want to get x quarantined all by itself, okay? No fun, no games, no playing with any other variables, okay? So it's just going to be right by itself. To do that, we got to divide by 4 on both sides. Remember, balance. X by itself, because 4 cancels out with 4. 80 divided by 4 is 20. All right. What about when there's a variable on both sides? All right. So we have x equals 9 minus 2x. All right. We want to get x by itself. Okay. Quarantine, I like x on the left. Personally, that's just the way that I do it. It just, my brain works like that. If you can do it on the right, that's fine with me. As long as you get x by itself. That's our goal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2x to both sides. Okay, these two x's are going to cancel. These are going to combine. We add to both sides because we want to keep that equation balanced. We've got 3x equals 9. So in order to get x by itself, we then divide. So we divide both sides by 3. X 3's cancel out, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. X equals 3. What about with exponents? Okay, guys, I'm not going to go too deep with exponents. We did some of this whenever we were working with exponents a few weeks back in the third quarter. We've got x squared plus 5 equals 9. X squared plus 5 equals 9. So we're not going to factor this. It's actually an equation we can solve here. So we get the squared variable by itself. To do that, we have to balance the equation. So if we're going to get x quarantined, let's balance this. So subtract 5 from both sides. That leaves us with x squared on one side and 4 on the other. And what we do is we square root both sides. So we square root both sides. That leaves us with x equals 2. Now it could be positive 2 or negative 2. When we do a square root, we have to do the positive or the negative because it could be either one. It could be either one. The square root of 4 is either positive 2 or negative 2. You could do negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, and positive 2 times positive 2 is 4. So we check if both options are correct. Normally we would. I'm going to just kind of go past that. It's 2 and negative 2. They're both good answers for this, okay? Normally you would double check that and make sure you can, if you'd like to, whenever you come to these problems, just put in positive 2 for x and negative 2 for x, and you should be able to tell whether or not they work. Radicals, okay, we just talked about radicals, the square root. So if you've got a square root, so if you've got the square root of x plus 1 equals 21. Remember, we just did this, so this should be familiar to you. We get the squared value by itself. Everything under the radical is going to get by itself. In order to do that, we've got to balance this, so subtract 1 from both sides. Just this that's in the parentheses is under the square root. I don't have the ability to really, show you exactly that, but just imagine this square root symbol is only covering this x right here. That's what I'm showing with that parentheses, okay? We end up with x, whenever we subtract, it's just the square root of x and 20. And what we do with the square root of x and 20 is we square both sides, balance. So what you do to one side, you do to the other. That goes for putting a radical on both sides or putting an exponent on both sides. You got to do to both sides the same exact operation. So we square both sides, and what the square does, this little exponent of 2 cancels out the radical. We can actually do 20 times 20, or 20 squared, and we have x equals 400, okay? So the square root of 400 plus 1 equals 21, all right? So we get that, okay? So that's really, there could be some other operations, but that's kind of the basic of two-step equations. Those are 2 steps to take, 2 different operations in order to get to our solution. So again, pretty simple, straightforward, and hopefully this was a good review for some of those that maybe you had forgotten along the way. All right? If you have any questions, make sure to contact me. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your day.